This video is to help those of you making the chemistry choker and cuff set by providing a visual of the joining process. Firstly, the layout is important, and this will be slightly different if you're working with the hook in your left hand or if you're working with the hook in your right hand. So for right-handed crocheters like me, we'll be laying them out as follows: hexagon A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and I. And for left-handed crocheters, that will be the other way around: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and I. So the order in which you work around the hexagon will of course differ as well according to whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Left-handed crocheters will start on the left side at the top corner, and they will work around to the top of the hexagon, top corner on the right side, bottom corner on the right side, bottom of the hexagon and the bottom corner on the right side. Then they'll come back to the first corner where they started to join. And right-handed crocheters, as you can see I haven't woven the end in there, will start here on the top corner of the right side of the hexagon, and they will work round to the top of the hexagon, top left, bottom of the hexagon, bottom right, and then join back here where they started. For the demonstration, I'm going to be using hexagon G. I am a right-handed crocheter, and that means I will be starting here. Left-handed people will be starting here, and I already have these hexagons joined, whereas left-handed people will have these hexagons joined and these ones still open. This hexagon also gives us a good opportunity to show working a corner, joining to two different hexagons at 3 points, and then making the picots ready to join to the next hexagon. So it's a good choice all round for the demonstration. We'll be joining the yarn to the hexagon on the side of our hook hand, right or left, just after the chain space at the top of that side. So my first stitch after that is here. I already have a slip knot on my hook, and we have two options now as to how we join the yarn in that stitch. We can do the very classic slip stitch in the stitch to join, work a chain, and then work our first stitch. And all our stitches in this join will be UK double crochets or US single crochets. And then work the stitch in the same space as we work the slip stitch and the chain. However, what a lot of crocheters will like to do is simply to work a standing stitch, and that just means putting the hook into the stitch and working that first stitch without a chain. So let's stick with that standing stitch for this hexagon. So now we've worked that first stitch in the first stitch of this side. Let's work the next one in the next stitch. And we're going to work until we get to the end of the side. So we have 2 there. Three here. And now we have another 2 here before the chain space. And what I'm going to do is just pull those ends there. And I'm also going to work over them, because that means less weaving in later. And I'm a big fan of less weaving in. Now I've reached the corner, and we know that on this corner we need to work in the same way as all the other ones at the top. They're just going to have a plain corner with no picot and no join. So we're just going to work a stitch in the chain space, not into the chain, 1 chain, and then another stitch into the same chain space, and that will give us a neat corner. And all the time I'm wrapping the stitch around this yarn here to avoid the weaving in. Now on the next side it's really hard to see where to work into that stitch, so we sometimes have to pull the corner back a little bit. We're going to be doing the same thing here. We're going to work once into each stitch of that side, 2 here, 3 here and 2 here. And there we go, that's the final stitch of this side. Now we can see that we need to make a joining corner. And because I'm right-handed, I'm joining on this side. If you're left-handed and you've worked around this way, you should find you have some picots here to join to. So to work a joining corner, I'm going to work a stitch into the chain space, and then I'm going to work 2 chains. Keep these nice and loose, don't pull them tight because you'll need to work into this one again at the end to close the corner. Now I need to join this hexagon to the one on the side, and again make sure you're joining the top corner to the top corner. So I'm going to place the live loop on my finger now, and then I'm going to put the hook through the picot that I want to join to. I'm going to pull the live loop back through and work another 2 chains. Then I mentioned you'd need to join to that very first chain, and I like to join in the back bump where possible, hence keeping it nice and loose. Sometimes a bit fiddly, but you only have to do this a few times. So we've joined to that back loop of the first chain in the join, and then we're going to work another stitch back in the chain space to complete the corner, and then we're going to work once in each stitch of the next side, the 7 stitches, and I think I'll continue wrapping the yarn as well. Remember, pull these corner stitches back a little bit if you can't see the head of the stitch to put the hook through. And there we go, we're working in the last stitch now. So now we need to work the corner, and we're going to work a stitch, 2 chains, keeping them nice and loose so they're easy to join to. And now we'll find the corner that we're going to join to. Here we are. We'll place the live loop on our finger. Let's keep all these yarn tails out of the way. Place the hook through the picot and draw the live loop through. Now I'm going to work 2 more chains, and I'm going to do that slip stitch in the back loop there. This is nice shiny yarn, so I find it quite easy to find that back loop. And then I'm finishing off the corner with another stitch in the chain space to open that up and keep it really sharp. Now I'm no longer wrapping those yarn tails, so I'm holding them out the way, moving these stitches back so I can see the head of the stitch. And now I'm going to work to the end of this side. So that's the last stitch of the side. And if I lay this out again, you can see that this one needs to attach to the middle pendant of 2 hexagons. And I've got a picot there ready to attach to. So another picot corner with a stitch, 2 chains, hook through the picot that you want to join to, 2 more chains, slip stitch in the back loop, and then another stitch in the corner chain space. And there's our join, and we're going to flatten that out and work to our next corner where we're going to do something different. So this is the last stitch of this side, and we can see if we lay the choker out, we don't have anything to join to yet because we haven't worked around this hexagon, and left-handed crafters will be on this side here working up towards the top. We'll have our last 2 sides here, and this hexagon won't be joined. So for this corner we're going to work a stitch in the chain space as usual, and we're just going to work 5 chains and then slip stitch back in the first chain. And work a stitch into the corner chain space, and then pull that back so we can work along the next side. We're going to do exactly the same again. We'll work along this side, and then we'll work another picot into the final corner. So here we have only the corner chain space remaining, and we're going to do the same thing again. Stitch, 5 chains, and then slip stitch back into the first chain, and back into the chain space. And that's your side complete. If you like, you can slip stitch back into here, or you could just weave your ends in to secure that corner. So that's our center hexagon joined, and you can see we've joined to those 3 picots, and we've created new picots for these to join and a sharp corner at the top.